Welcome to episode 59 of the Leading IT Podcast. This is a huge one today. We're going to break down the game-changing announcements from OpenAI and Microsoft and how they relate to IT leaders in business. This podcast is for Australian IT leaders looking to stay up to date with the latest news and trends in AI, cybersecurity, cloud and infrastructure, strategy and leadership. Your hosts are Tom Layden, who's the CIO at Longview, and me, Josh Rubens, CEO at consulting firm Empyrean IT. We tackle the fast-changing IT landscape from both sides of the client-vendor paradigm with pragmatic and actionable advice. G'day, Tom.
G'day, Josh. You're right about fast changing, right? There's heaps to talk about.
Yeah, it's massive. I feel like, it feels like the world changed last week for me. And the more I looked at it, the more I thought, oh, goodness me. And a few other choice words that I won't use on
It's pretty amazing, isn't it? I guess what we're going to do is try to help people navigate through these changes. But I guess we'll try and talk about the pragmatic implications of it as well.
Yes, yeah. And I think as we go through it, I don't think I'm overstating it. I don't think I'm being, emotional and subjective. I think as we go through it, I think we'll explain why I think some of these are going to have such a big impact, because some of it's obvious and some of it is less obvious. So we're not going to do our usual news because there's so much here to get through, and if we can't get through everything today, we might have to go through it. So the three big things were the OpenAI, the GPT-4 Omni that got released, the new model that got released last week, was the Copilot Plus PC announcement from Microsoft, and also the Microsoft Build 24 conference that happened. So Microsoft was a bit sneaky. They had the Copilot Plus PC announcement one day, and literally the next day was the Build conference. So, there was a lot happening, and I think the industry is and the market in general is believing in the story. I mean, if you look at the Nasdaq and the stock and those particular stocks, they've gone through the roof. I mean, particularly Nvidia hit a 3 trillion plus valuation this week.
Yes.
So hopefully you bought in, Tom, when I said you should.
Mate, but yeah. There's a list of things I should have bought, Josh. There's a huge list of things.
Okay.
And I think Nvidia's on that list, right at the top, actually.
Okay. I did get in, but no, it's good, and it's go. Look, who knows what's going to happen? But I think the market is definitely believing what Microsoft are selling, and it's pretty huge. So let's get into the 4 Omni release. So Tom, did you watch this video?
I did. It's great, the fanfare and whatnot that Microsoft do these releases with. So it's all big news. It's exciting. Everyone believes it's the Steve Jobs of news. I mean, are you a believer, Josh? You believe?
I am.
What are the highlights for you, mate? What do you want to run through your highlights?
Yeah. So the 4 Omni, this was from OpenAI. So what's happened is this model is so different in that you can interact with it using voice, video, and chat in one model. Yep. So previously you could do it, but they were siloed into separate models, which meant longer response times, higher costs, and now they've merged these capabilities into one model which is an Omni model, and they've also released a desktop app. So now you can interact with it within the flow of your work. So it's a little bit like Siri or Alexa, but on a huge amount of steroids. Yep. So you can have now voice interaction with the model, so you can talk to it. And I did note that the audio input response time is now 320 milliseconds. And why that number is important is that's on par with the human response time. So you can have a genuine chat with the model. I did watch the video. You can change the voice. You do feel like you're talking to a person.
Yep.
Which is amazing.
The example I saw was there was language translation as well. So you could change language halfway through your conversation. It just spoke Spanish to you. That was super cool, right?
Yep.
So the integration of those models is really good, but also it's now cheaper and faster to run as well, which I think is really important.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so it's basically half the price of the GPT-4 Turbo, so getting faster and getting cheaper. So there's the voice interaction with it, so you can talk to it, and then the other one is the video interaction. So these are real game changing things. So if you saw the video, so you can basically show it. You can show things to ChatGPT from the camera on your computer or on the camera on your mobile device. So if you think about some of the use cases of that, I mean, it's pretty massive. So one of the ones I had was if you can share, you can have ChatGPT as like a person, so to speak, on a call, and you can show a spreadsheet to it, and you can ask it questions about what's on the spreadsheet. So it can analyze what it's looking at and talk to you. So instead of having maybe your accountant there, you might say, well, can you tell us what are the trends, what's happening on this spreadsheet? So it's almost like an expert, because it can look at what you're showing it on on the screen. Like, that's, even on its own, that's like
It's
amazing.
unbelievable. It's mind blowing.
And you can also show it things on your camera. Like, I saw one of the videos was a guy on it was a sort of a demo application for a website that did mountain hiking gear.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, I'm thinking of climbing this mountain, and these are the shoes that I'm thinking of using. You just showed it to it. Do you think it will be good enough to work on it? And it said, no, it's not good enough. What do you recommend? This one. Okay, put it in my shopping cart for me. Bang, done. Like, that's wow. Like, that's, I mean, if you think of,
I mean, the commercial realities of it, like the commercial aspect of it was like they sold that. It's like, it'll help your customers buy more stuff. Like, it was like, okay, but I think there's broader applications for this technology. I mean, you think about people who have to deal with any sort of frontline responder type issues. They've got cameras. Help me identify the issue with this particular problem. Help me with this medical issue, this emergency, this particular situation in this environment. That's when it's going to be really interesting. I think.
So what's moved here is, instead of the interaction with AI being through a prompt and a chat, it's now through voice and video and the world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Satya Nadella said the world is the prompt. I mean, but that's the game changer. Like, that's okay. It's new, but GPT-5 is coming out in 3 months, which is going to be, steps faster. So what's amazing here is the pace.
Yes.
It's the pace here of change. And then, I mean, it's not hard. You don't have to think long and hard about all the business commercial use cases for, voice and video interaction with something that's smarter than humans, who can analyze what's going on around you. Like, seriously, it's incredible. So other things that were really cool is that you can interrupt the model like you're talking to it. It can also recognize emotion, so it has the ability to pick up on emotion. It can pick up on your emotion. It can generate different emotions in how it talks. You can interact with it, through video camera on screen. If you think about, as you were saying, all those edge type of devices, or if you're thinking about, a policeman who has those body cameras, imagine you get to a point where that camera can, provide live information to the person about what's going on around it.
Yep.
Like, or in any fire, doctors, army.
Yep.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Tom,
I mean, you can think of future where
I don't think I'm overstating.
Call
So sometimes I get too
you
excited.
don't know
I don't
if
think
you're
I'm
talking
getting
to a
too
human.
excited here. I think this is
You're talking
genuinely.
to some sort of call center.
Yeah. Go on.
So you're talking to a call center. Sounds human. They've got all the information. They're correct. They know exactly what they're talking about. They've already verified you because they understand your security questions and whatnot. So in terms of interacting with your customers, again, this is a complete game changer, right? So all those human to your customer touch points. You need to start thinking about, right, well, how can I start exploiting this technology to make my business front end more efficient?
Yeah, or help desk, and it can even pick up on, you're having a good day, you're having a bad day. You can train it to have humor, no humor. There's a lot of parameters you can put in here, and it's gonna really, it's gonna over the next few months. I think we're going to see a lot of things come out around that. So that sort of led into the Copilot Plus PCs announcement. So you could make the mistake of just thinking, oh, this is just about a neural processing unit on a PC, and which is what I initially thought until I saw, watched the session and had a look at some of the press release. So this is a much bigger announcement than, we've got a Copilot, we've got a PC that has a Copilot button and a neural processing unit. Tom, did you get to have a look at any of this?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it?
I did. Well, maybe just take a step back and explain what an AI PC is, right? Because as you said, a lot of people go, "Oh, it's a new key on a keyboard, big deal." But it's as you said, it's much more than that. So do you want to explain what the concept is?
Yeah, so it's a new category of PCs. So they're saying it's not just an enhanced laptop; it's a totally new category of PCs that will have new hardware on it. So it's going to have a neural processing unit. So the first one to market is the Qualcomm Snapdragon ARM processor, but it also will have a normal CPU and will have a graphics processing unit. So it's going to be a lot faster and process, all those AI jobs locally on that ARM processor. But it's also, what they've done is they've totally rewritten Windows 11. So you're getting a new version of Windows 11 that has small language models. It says up to 40 small language models running locally on your device. So instead of having to go up to the cloud for doing your AI processing, you are now, not for all use cases, but there'll be a lot of use cases now where you can run, which you'll be able to run locally and do different tasks locally on your PC. So and then there's a whole rewritten, it's called Windows Runtime. There's a whole new Windows Runtime, new applications. So it's a really big, it's a rewrite. So this is a pretty massive thing. So for, end users, so Microsoft is saying this is going to be a genuine reason to buy a new PC because of the new things you can do with it. So
maybe.
Let's talk about that. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a fascinating architecture what they've done. So basically, take a whole bunch of workloads that would have been on a GPU or in the cloud or both. GPUs drain battery, so they've always been very bad for laptops. So the NPU now takes a bunch of more predictable type AI and runs that more efficiently and for longer on a low battery, right? So it's better for your laptop environment. However, I think the interesting thing here is for buyers of PC fleets is the question is, okay, well, when do you start buying? When do you start getting into this stuff? And what I was looking at was that, okay, NPU processing is pretty good now, but what's coming down the pipeline is significantly better. So for my mind, I'm going, hey, just give this 12 months, right, for A, the software to catch up, and B, the processing power in the NPUs to really accelerate. And then sort of 12 to 18 months' time, I think you've got something to really consider.
Yeah, for sure. I agree not to go first is a good idea. So just a few points. So Intel and AMD are coming on board. All the normal hardware vendors, so HP, Dell, Lenovo, Acer, so they're all doing it. So it's not just Microsoft with their services. So it's all the vendors. It's capable of 40 plus trillion operations a second. That's fast. And 58% faster than the new MacBook Air M3. So some of the key applications. So this is based on, it's called Recall. So I think a lot of people will have heard of Recall.
Yeah.
So it leverages what's called a local Windows semantic index. So it's building a profile of what you do across all your applications, browsing, and then it's taking a snapshot. So you'll be able to go backward and forward on a timeline and click on what you're looking at. And it doesn't just It's not like just a snapshot thing, like a backup. It also looks at things in the way supposedly we look at things and the way we relate to things, but it will take you back into the application. So if it's a chat
Right.
in Teams or it's in email or a website, it will take you there. Like that's pretty cool. It will take you there. There's been a lot of talk about security, so they're
Yes.
saying it's only on your device. You can delete snapshots. It's locked down, etc., etc. So
I think they've got to really
interesting.
demonstrate the upside, Josh, of Recall. I think there has been some really public announcements about security issues with Recall, and the fear factor associated with it resonates with a lot of people. I don't necessarily buy into it myself, but I think they've got to now demonstrate why this is a really good thing for you, right?
Yeah. Well, it's about finding stuff, right? Finding stuff quickly, which is a real pain it's a pain in the bum finding things
Absolutely.
that you know. And so it's solving that problem. So there's Recall. Adobe apps are coming out. So obviously it's a new processor architecture. So there's the question of application compatibility. So all the Adobe apps are coming out supported, all the Microsoft stuff, and they've also released there's an emulator on it called, I think, Prism, where all your normal apps will be able to natively run smoothly on the device. So it's not going to have issues around app compatibility. The other cool use cases are something called live captions. So you can, in a meeting, it will translate to English from 40 languages as you talk. Like, that's pretty cool.
It's unreal. It's so good,
like
isn't it? Like,
40
who would have
languages.
thought you could have a language UN style and it's just translating everything
Live.
for you? That's
So
phenomenal.
they had the video. They had 4 people each speaking a different language, all going live into captions into English at that time. But that's pretty amazing. There's a lot of design type stuff. So
Yeah.
co-creator, so you can sketch on your device, and it will ChatGPT will create an image for you, and you can say, I want, there's a creativity level bar, so you can make it high creative, low creative, and as you move it up and down, the AI model is making, changing the image for you. I thought that was that was pretty exciting. Recall, we've discussed. CapCut, so if you have a video, basically you can remove the background of the video and bring in any other background you want. So the AI will pick up what's in the front for you, and then you can change the background. Lots of stuff around video editing, editing in videos, so whether it's Teams or any other type of video. So this is all built into Windows. It's called Windows Studio Effects, right? So you can change background, contrast, all these sorts of things. So it's really, changing what a computer can do for you.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And I mean, in terms of that, yeah, there's a lot of real time processing. It's quite interesting. So, in terms of the sort of use cases, it's emerging pretty quickly, obviously. But in terms of, I guess, if you look at your user base and you try to work out, okay, who's going to benefit from these things straight away, I think obviously the graphic design type characters, obviously, they'll be knocking on your door, demanding one of these things. Frankly, they'll be all over it. But also, I think it's worth considering people who are your executive or senior managers who are doing large scale meetings. Anyone in some sort of global positioning role where they're doing like meetings from the airports, whatever. There's a lot of built-in noise cancelling, AV improvements for the video conferencing experience. But then for anyone dealing with multinational businesses, obviously tapping into that language thing, which frankly is a lot of people, right? That just changes productivity straight away. When you are speaking the language of the person you are speaking to, dramatically improves the conversation.
Yeah. And there's a virtual assistant, a voice assistant, which you can use in other applications. And also, if you want to start using, the 4Omni stuff we're talking about, where you're going to need these MPU devices. So those things we were talking about before around using 4Omni, you're going to need these devices to drive that voice and video interaction. Yeah, if you think about, it's. I don't want to get into chat discussions at this point around the ethical considerations, because it's now, if you think about it, it could definitely eat into a lot of people's work and jobs if it can
Well,
do
we don't know,
voice and
right?
video.
I mean, yeah, you're right. It's a discussion for another day. But the reality is the technology's here.
Yeah,
You should be riding the wave, right? You
yeah,
could be in front of the wave, being all
sure.
over it.
Well, if you're a CIO, you need to be
That's your job.
looking at it. So apparently these are going to be out on June 18th at
Right.
$1,000 US,
Great.
which is pretty good. 22 hours of battery life, Tom. That's pretty
I
good.
noticed that. Do you believe it?
Well, I could say they showed videos, but yes, yeah, that's a good. That's a yes. Sorry, Tom. That's a good. That's a good question. Other things is that it's already supported on Intune and Autopilot and all those sorts of things. It's ready to
Yeah.
go because it's Microsoft. So
Yeah.
customers who are using all those Microsoft security products, it's going to come to market ready
Yeah.
to go. They've built in something called Pluton security processor, so it's going to have advanced security. It's going to support Windows Hello. So there's lots of other security announcements, which I didn't want to particularly get into at this stage. But there's plenty of security was a large part of the presentation. So if people are concerned about that, and particularly focused on recall, I mean that recall hack that I saw, that was on a previous version. That wasn't the final version. So just as an FYI.
Yeah, I think that's right, but I think a lot of people are just going to go in and say, "Oh, I hear that's hackable." So I think you've got to be prepared to defend that,
Sure.
and make sure
Sure.
you're comfortable with it as well, right? Because I think there's going to be a lot of naysayers around this stuff. It's like, what do you mean it takes a shot at everything I do every 5 seconds? So I think you need to start understanding how they secure it and what it means. And as you said, like, are you on the right version? Are you using the right version?
Yeah, and they're shipping the Pi 3 state-of-the-art small language model, so that can that has 3.3 billion data points.
Small language model, mate.
It is small, but that's pretty good. Like if you think about it
That's pretty good.
for a particular narrow use case. So if you think about what's going to happen moving forward, Tom, like in an enterprise, so all the options you have here, right? So you might use Azure or AWS AI tools for things that are very highly customized applications or highly customized AI models. You might use something, from OpenAI for a consumer local device. You might have M365 Copilot running, for your 365 stuff. You might have other copilots that we're going to talk about. You can have small language models for different use cases that can run on different types of devices, and you might even have, private cloud for certain organisations that from a security, performance, location, network perspective, that they have to run it, in their local data center. So, that's a lot, right? If you think about the options there, so it's not. I don't think it's going to be either or. It could potentially end up being, well, I've got all these use cases and I'm going to use the right thing for the right use case. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, there's a lot of talk about how you bring your business to AI, right? So bringing your data to AI. So what do you use a generic AI for, and then what part of the business, do you develop your own models around, and how do you integrate those two things to create essentially a brand new way of doing business? And that's really interesting. I think that's what everyone should be thinking about at the moment. So what information, knowledge, processing capabilities do we have that we can internalize in our models, and then we can connect to the broader AI ecosphere to do something really interesting. And there's so many. I mean, every business has got quite unique information sets, capabilities that they can plug into this system.
Yeah.
Now it's not easy to do, right? So people need to start exploring and playing around and demonstrating those use cases so they can start investing in it. But what it means, it always goes back to the same old things, Josh. Making sure you know where your data is, the quality of the data, and the quality of your tech team. Making sure they understand machine learning, AI, the basics of programming and security, and they're starting to think about how they turn this stuff into the AI-led business of the future.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, your competitors will. I think it's that easy.
AI looks like it's going to be infused into everything. So, that's the job all of us have to do, is work out, well, now we've got this enhanced capability. Well, how do we reimagine all our business processes and what we do to take advantage of it? That's how we're going to embrace it. So should we change tack and move into the enterprise and talk about the build announcement?
You're right. There's a lot to get through. So maybe again, sort of high level view of build, not going into too much detail, but there was heaps to digest, right?
Yeah, there was a lot. So I want to cover off what I think are the main. There are half a dozen things that I think are really critical, and I think all IT leaders should be starting to think about what they're going to do about it. First thing I want to say is Microsoft announced the availability of GPT-4 Omni the day after OpenAI did, which they own 49% of it. So just to see how closely aligned OpenAI and Microsoft are. So that's done. You can go up to Azure AI Studio and you can select it and you can get going today.
Yep.
You can start building applications using that today. So, go forth. So there was a lot. So what I thought were the main area for me that was exciting was these concept of the Microsoft Copilot Studio and the Microsoft AI Studio. Now, it's confusing for everyone, as Microsoft always do. So I just want to initially differentiate between the two so that everyone, is on the same page before we get into it. So Microsoft AI Studio is utilizing the models that are sitting in Azure. So you can go up there and you can choose models, and it will orchestrate these models, your data. But it's really for you to build that together. So it's more of a full code developer platform where you want a high degree of personalization and integration into your applications, and that's all going to be up on Azure. So that's what Azure AI Studio is. The Microsoft Copilot Studio is more of a low-code platform, and more for leveraging things within M365 or Power Platform, where a lot of the stitching together things like security management, they're already built for you. So you don't need to be a hardcore developer, and you can go in, if you have some low-code skills, you can go in and start building these bots. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think some parts you unleash on the business. You have business people doing some of that low-code stuff. Some parts about empowering your own IT org.
So the two things that really got to me here, the first one is the concept of creating custom copilots that can act as an agent within your business that can, so it's an autonomous copilot that can deliver an end-to-end asynchronous business task. So if you think about that for a second, it's really changed. If you look at Power Platform, we work heavily in Power Platform. So it's really changed their whole strategy of AI with Power Platform. So before it was just about, 1.0 was just building bots. Right, that's last year, search, conversation, that's last year. This year, it's about having autonomous agents that can deliver an end-to-end business process based on triggers. So you can have a trigger, it can be an email, it can be something coming from an application or a database, and then you can integrate that with Power Automate through APIs. So it can do an end-to-end business process for you. Like, that's pretty huge. So they've gone to market with a couple of templates. So three of them. There's IT help desk, employee onboarding. So that whole process of onboarding an employee, selecting a laptop, integrating with HR, guiding a user through all the onboarding process, setting up the meetings for you with the different people. You can now have an autonomous bot that does that for you. That's Tom, that's pretty huge. I'm sorry. That for me, that is the biggest. That is the biggest announcement for me out of all this.
I think most people saw that and thought, "Oh, that sounds great," but that wouldn't work here. That wouldn't work for me. We do things differently here, right? So, I, I think people just got to see it in action, right, to see how smart these things can be.
Essentially, it's like a power app, like a mobile app, but instead of but it's run by a
robot,
bot, run by AI. So that's
but not just an AI that actually knows stuff. Like it actually knows what to do next. That's the exciting part.
So you can ground it with all your information. You can connect it, so it's got all these connectors. That's one thing I'll go into a little bit more later. And then the other one is this concept of team copilots. Now, team again, Microsoft not Teams copilots, as in the Microsoft Teams product, but a copilot that can act as a role, as a member of your team.
Yeah.
So the three they've come up with is a meeting facilitator, so it can manage agendas, co-author meeting notes, a group collaborator, so it can surface information, track action items, whereas a project manager in planner. So it can assign tasks, track deadlines, notify team members when they need to do things. So these are in preview. So these two things for me are really big, Tom. They're big. They're big.
Yeah, this is awesome. I think this is the one that's going to be really fun to exploit, right? So if you can get, you can get a team member in your team that does the compliance or does the project planning, does the meeting minutes that no one ever does, or, it just reminds you what was spoken about last week. Here are the 5 topics. Remember you said you'd do this. That's where people are going to have fun. And then they're going to start to explore, well, actually, I need a team member that specializes in this aspect of what I do. Right, let's get a bot in to do that.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
So what the vision is, you can have lots of these bots, and these bots will talk to each other, and each of these bots can be experts in different areas. So they're becoming like team members. So you can call them names, and they're going to become team members. So we're going to go to Lucy, who's our finance bot, and this bot that does HR, and this one. It's like, if you think about it, and then you've baked in all your your Power Platform process, the API calls, all your Power Automate processes, your flows. Like it's not that hard. Like it doesn't seem to be. It's not a huge change, Tom. Like it's big from a efficiency, cost reduction, business benefit point of view, but it's not a huge step on from building Power Apps into doing this. That's why I'm so excited about it. And I think the impact it can have on business is
big,
is enormous. Ignoring the human, employment part,
but this is
but it's enormous.
Yeah. This is where bringing your own data in becomes really exciting, right? So as soon as you get like a bot that actually knows your customer base, right, or knows your procedures or knows who the experts are in your company, right? So it goes, oh, actually, that's a job for Barry. Let me send him an email with all the details in it, letting him know what he needs to do, and I'll manage that task for you. Oh, cool. Thanks, bot. That's really helpful.
Yeah, you can have a bot that gets an email from a customer, looks up their chat history, looks them up on, the CRM, responds, maybe interacts with the user to get different things, checks stock levels, processes the order. Hey.
Happy days, right?
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
Or maintenance request, another one. Someone said, I've got this problem with blah, blah, blah. Straight through, touches a few people if it has to, otherwise straight back to the customer.
IT help desk. Help desk. Come on.
Reboot.
Yes.
Reboot your machine, mate.
Yes.
No, sorry.
Yeah. So, and then also, think of the voice and video prompts as well that you can have. But the other one that's also, less exciting, but I think will be a big change is that now employees will be able to create their own Copilot in SharePoint on a SharePoint site. So they'll be able to go in and say, I want a Copilot on this site, and then you can have natural language interaction with your data. You can extend it to third-party data, and then you can share that Copilot with other team members in Teams, and then you can, have this bot wherever you like. That's going to be pretty big because
Yeah,
This has been a big pain in the bum for everyone trying to find stuff in SharePoint or anyone wanting to.
mate, 100%. So
That,
there's so
that,
many like procedure manuals. Here's the manual on how we do stuff here.
yeah,
Well, instead of having to go to the SharePoint website, you just talk to the bot about how you
yeah,
do stuff.
yeah.
And then the bot can actually check to make sure you're doing it right as well.
So that was big. Now let's get into the data. So did you see the real-time intelligence in Microsoft Fabric announcement
I did.
that came out?
Yes. This is good.
Yeah. What were your thoughts there?
Well, it's really interesting. I want to see it and get my hands dirty with it. It's exactly what we want. Well, I feel like it's really, really helpful because you want to be able to take action quickly when you see events occur, right? That's the goal. I can see some trend anomaly happening. I need to do something. So to be able to surface that in your data super, super quickly, real time, I'm really excited by that personally. I think there's something massive here.
So so just to cover off the main points, so there's going to be a Fabric is a software as a service solution that is an aggregator for all the Azure data services. They've announced a real-time hub. So this is a hub, a single place to ingest all your data and things and events within Fabric, so you can see what's going on. Connectors to different cloud sources. So whether they don't have to be in Azure, they can be in Google, they can be in AWS. You're getting real-time dashboards, and then I think I spoke about it when I came back from the Power Platform Conference last year. This whole data activator, which is the ability for AI to you can have it look at a change in your data, and then that can kick off a business process through
that's
low
what I'm
code.
talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So it's called event-driven Fabric. So you can respond to things that are happening without having eyes on glass all the time, if you want, or you might want to just let someone know, hey, this is happening. So that's pretty huge. So stock levels, or if you think about whatever
inbound call notifications. Oh, hang on, we're getting distract traffic. Even things like, okay, hang on, a whole bunch of customers starting to email us about this particular topic. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Or our website visits are coming from this particular area. They're going to this particular part of our webpage. What's going on here? Just there's a couple of examples. There's so many other huge examples. Or
there's a leak. There's a leak in your equipment. IoT connectors,
IoT space, absolutely massive,
enormous. So there's going to be a Copilot in Fabric, so you can have conversational language to get to create data flows, to create pipelines, to generate code. So you can have you can get it to create things for you, or to interpret. You can ask it questions to tell you what's going on, or do things for you. So this is again another really big announcement. I thought this, and clever of Microsoft to do the data stuff with the Copilot stuff at the same time.
Yeah. So it's all about Microsoft being, hey, go all in with Microsoft because we'll solve a whole bunch of problems.
Why
for
not?
You.
Why not, Tom?
The world doesn't work like that, Josh.
Who else are you gonna go with?
The truth is, your data's in all a bunch of different platforms like Salesforce.
I understand.
I'm sorry, Josh. It's more complicated than Microsoft would like it to be.
Yes.
But they're trying to be, hey, we are your best friends here. Give us everything, and we will help you out.
Well, through things like Fabric, you can aggregate, and they've got connections to Databricks and Snowflake and all that sort of stuff. So no, I agree. I'm slightly biased towards Microsoft.
You've drunk the Kool-Aid here.
I've drowned in it. One thing that I did think was cool. So for those of you who are using Azure, so there's a Copilot in Azure.
Yeah.
So you can do things like application troubleshooting. You can ask it, why is my app slow? How do I fix this error? How do I reduce costs on Azure? There's some SQL type stuff that you can have, it can do queries for you. So that's pretty cool. So helping you optimize your Azure environment.
Yeah, this is great. I think this really helps, what used to be the domain of your deep technical experts. They're kind of lifting all that. Okay, only this guy knows where to click to find this information. You don't need that anymore. You can just ask, hang on, my servers are running slowly. What do I need to do? And go, oh, well, you do this, blah, blah. and they're not rude either. Like,
Well,
unlike your staff.
Not my staff. You're not saying my staff are rude.
They're not like the grumpy tech guy
No,
who just goes,
no, exactly. So Power Platform. So there was some additional, if it wasn't enough already, that whole Copilot Power Platform stuff. There was a big security update. So there's now something called the Security Hub in the Power Platform Admin Center. You can do things like posture assessment, deep visibility tools, privilege identity management. So a lot of security enhancements. Native GitHub integration. That's cool.
That's huge.
Cool. Canvas app co-authoring, so multiple people can edit apps at the same time. And Copilot on mobile now. So you can modernize your mobile apps with Copilots on them, your Power Apps, if they're on mobile. Yeah. So that's going to be huge. So there's a bit happening there. So that was, I think we've killed everyone. But that was the main stuff. Tom, I think there's.
Well, the only other thing I'd add is that the .NET Aspire piece that all your software development guys should be all over.
Yes.
It's really improved the way people delivering code. It just should be a lot better, a lot easier than it has been in the past. So you should be all over that as well. It's the only thing I'd add.
Yeah. So there's lots there. I'd encourage people to seriously have a look at the Copilot Plus PCs, get into the 4Omni, start thinking about Copilots that can do more than just a chat interface, and how you could maybe look at integrating them into your Power Platform, getting them agents, things like that. Start having a play.
Yeah.
If you're not doing proof of concepts on Copilot with your data in your applications, you're going to get left behind.
There's two things I think people should be doing right. First of all, think big. Start imagining your business, whatever in the future. Think about it now, and think small. Like, think about how you can have small wins to start demonstrating what this stuff can actually do. Because you're going to have to convince a lot of people that this is actually real, but you're also going to be there. You need to be there pretty quickly, right?
And this is a prime example of, if you don't, your users will. If you're not doing it, your users are gonna.
Mate, how many times have we said that, Josh?
I know, but this is prime, Tom. This is prime. They're gonna just do it.
It's a good time to be in this seat, isn't it? Like, it's actually really, you are in the lead here.
It's exciting. It's exciting times. But
mate,
so do it before your users do it, and get your data in order, get your security in order. But don't let that slow you down from starting to doing some proof of concepts. And
do some fun things.
It's cool. It's exciting times. So, and that is how you definitely will stay relevant over the next 3 years and won't be out of a job. That is how.
You're the CEO. If you pull this off, you'll be running the show.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, thanks, Tom. I think that was an exciting and good conversation. So, was I overstating how significant the changes were?
No, it's huge. I think we just need to be mindful that there's other companies doing similar things. So we probably should talk about that in upcoming podcasts.
All right. I'll go have a look at Google if you want me to. We can look around, but no problem. Well, happy to have a look at what other people are doing.
It's good to see you up and about, Josh. It's good. I like it.
Yeah. No, thanks, Tom. Good to see you as well, and thanks everyone for listening. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please give us a 5-star review, so that we don't want 4-star reviews, only 5-star reviews, so that we can spread the word and help you all stay up to date. Keep doing it and help you stay up to date with what's going on, because I know it's hard and it's moving quickly. So you can come here and get your news and stay up to date. So thanks very much, and have a good long weekend. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Josh.
See you, everyone.